Pregnant women would rather grit their teeth and give birth on muddy, manure-covered streets than set foot in a hospital. That was the reality in the glittering heart of Vienna, Austria in 1846. What were they running from? Clinic 1 of the Vienna General Hospital. If you were pregnant and got assigned to Clinic 1, you might as well have signed your own death warrant. The place was packed with top professors and elite doctors. And yet, walking through those doors meant walking straight into childbed fever. At its peak, the mortality rate hit 18.27%. But here's the insane part. Right next door was Clinic 2, a place everyone looked down on because it was run entirely by midwives and female trainees. And their death rate? Consistently under 4%. Women were so terrified that when they found out they'd been assigned to Clinic 1, they would literally drop to their knees, clasp their hands together, and sob, begging, pleading with staff to transfer them anywhere else. Watching his ward turn into a ghost town, a young assistant doctor named Ignaz Semmelweis decided to find the truth himself. Back then, the medical elite worshipped two ancient theories, the humoral theory and the miasma theory. They genuinely believed the human body ran on four fluids: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. Get sick? Obviously your body is out of balance. Too much blood? Easy fix. Slice the arm and drain it. Some places went even further and slapped leeches on you to suck it out. Under this theory, disease always came from within. Human-to-human transmission didn't exist. Then there was the miasma theory. This one claimed that all outbreaks came from bad air, rising from swamps, rotting garbage, filth. Basically, if it smells like trash, disease will follow. So when mothers were dying of childbed fever, the medical geniuses of the time blamed it on stagnant breast milk, toxic air in the hospital, or the mothers just having weak immune systems. He started using the process of elimination to figure out what separated the two clinics. Was it the air? No. Both clinics sat under the exact same roof, breathing the exact same air. Was the toxic air somehow smart enough to pick one ward over the other? That makes zero sense. Overcrowding, maybe? No. Clinic 2 was constantly packed because women kept sneaking in, and they still lived. Doesn't add up. Birthing positions? Still no. Clinic 1 had women lie on their backs. Clinic 2 had them on their side. Semmelweis made Clinic 1 switch. Women still died. Psychological trauma? Whenever someone was dying in Clinic 1, a priest would walk the halls ringing a small bell. Thinking the sound itself was scaring women to death, Semmelweis told the priest to lose the damn bell. The bell stopped. The women kept dying. Every theory hit a dead end. Semmelweis was desperate. Then, in March 1847, fate handed him the answer, at the cost of his best friend's life. Forensic professor Jakob Kolechka, Semmelweis's closest colleague, suddenly died. The cause was almost absurdly simple. While guiding students through an autopsy, a scalpel slipped and nicked his finger. Just a small scratch. Days later, Kolechka developed a high fever, abdominal abscesses, pleurisy, and died. Holding the autopsy report in his hands, Semmelweis felt a chill run through him. The internal organ damage, the disease progression. It was a carbon copy of what he'd seen in mothers dying of childbed fever. The disease was blood-borne. But if his friend died from a scalpel covered in corpse fluid, how were the mothers catching it? From the hands of the doctors themselves. Every morning, the male doctors and students of Clinic 1 would use their bare hands to dissect rotting corpses in the basement. Then, after a quick wipe on a dry towel, they'd march straight upstairs and perform internal examinations on pregnant women. The concept of bacteria didn't exist yet, and the midwives of Clinic 2, they weren't even allowed near a corpse, let alone to dissect one. Women were considered too delicate for that kind of work. With no knowledge of bacteria, Semmelweis went by smell. In mid-May 1847, he issued a mandate. Before touching any patient, all medical staff had to scrub their hands with chlorinated lime solution. And because Semmelweis is the main character of this story, a miracle happened. The mortality rate dropped by over 90%. In some months of 1848, it hit absolute zero. Semmelweis had kicked the Grim Reaper out of his ward. By every measure, the world should have celebrated him. Instead, his name got attached to a psychological phenomenon, the Semmelweis Reflex, the knee-jerk tendency to reject new evidence simply because it contradicts what you already believe. That's exactly how the medical world responded to him. The pushback from the elite was something else. Renowned American obstetrician Charles Meigs declared, "Doctors are gentlemen, and a gentleman's hands are clean." Making educated aristocrats scrub with foul-smelling horse manure chemicals? An insult to their dignity. Then politics crashed the party. Semmelweis's boss, Professor Johann Klein, was a hardcore conservative Austrian. In the middle of Europe's 1848 revolutions, Semmelweis, being Hungarian, was seen as a troublemaker and got thrown out of the hospital entirely. And honestly, Semmelweis didn't help himself either. He had life-saving data since 1847 and sat on it. He genuinely believed the truth will reveal itself on its own, letting students publish vague, half-formed papers that gave his critics every opening they needed. He waited 14 years before finally publishing his book in 1861, sending copies with letters to Europe's top obstetricians. When nobody cared, he snapped and started firing off increasingly aggressive letters directly to them. In one letter to Professor Scanzoni, he wrote, "Your refusal has turned your maternity ward into a morgue. I declare before God and the world that you are a murderer." After that, he retreated to his hometown of Budapest. There, he pulled off the same miracle, forced the doctors to wash their hands, and dragged the mortality rate at St. Roch's Hospital down to an almost unbelievable 0.85%. But that success couldn't fill the void. Helpless watching the world ignore him, helpless hearing the cries of thousands of dying mothers, his mind began to fracture. He drank heavily. His behavior turned erratic, bizarre. People suspected neurological damage.
In August 1865, fate delivered its cruelest twist. A close colleague, Dr. Ferdinand Hebra, set a trap, luring Semmelweis into a carriage under the pretense of visiting a new facility. That carriage took him straight to the Dobling Asylum on the outskirts of Vienna. When he realized he'd been deceived, he fought back. Guards swarmed him, beat him, forced him into a straitjacket, threw him into solitary confinement, and made him drink castor oil. But the story doesn't end there. During the struggle, Semmelweis's right hand was cut open. In the filth of the asylum, the wound became infected, then gangrenous. Just 14 days after being locked away, Ignaz Semmelweis died at the age of 47. You see the cruelty in that, right? The man who spent his entire life, his reputation, and his sanity fighting blood-borne infection from corpse wounds died from the exact same thing.